We're live. Hi, YouTube.
Hey, YouTube.
We're back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Back in the high life again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Living up.
Mm-hmm.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.
Hey.
Yes, it does. And look, we won't be interrupting each other because we can actually see each other
We're
in
like
real
right
time.
here. Yeah. There's no internet. Like there's no laggy poo stuff happening.
I feel like that's happened almost every virtual episode we've done. We end up going in and saying something at the exact same time.
Yes. I know.
It's nobody's fault.
No, listen, it's the internet's fault. Fuck the internet.
Yeah, it's awful.
I mean,
What has it ever done for us?
I know. So we're back. It's Tuesday because it was one of those types of weekends for all of us.
Yep. Turns out with the end of COVID, Fridays get busy. You know?
Weekends get busy.
Yeah.
It's a wild thing.
Yes. When we will still do it on Friday when we can, but that's
Yeah.
not all the time anymore, especially during the summer, as we've talked about.
Yeah, especially during the summer. I mean, maybe in the winter it'll get
I think it'll be a little more calmed down for sure.
possibly, especially up here. But you know, whatever. We're back.
Yeah, we're back.
And we're getting ready to get around Halloween too. So we'll make our little editorial program notes at the end. There's going to be more weirdness and more delays, but don't worry. We're definitely going to get all this shit done because we just spent about 10 minutes recklessly going through like the next 30 records.
Spoiling the next few weeks for ourselves.
It was terrible. Yeah. We just couldn't help ourselves because
we were like junkies.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man.
And let us tell you, it gets pretty exciting very quickly here.
There's juicy stuff coming up as we approach the halfway point, which is to be expected, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, even
theoretically, it should just get better and better.
In theory, but also in reality, every week that's come past, like as we get into these higher chunks of 5, I'm also becoming way more ruthlessly dickish with some of these albums from the standpoint of it's, you know, man, you're getting really, really high up on this list. So what the fuck is this?
Well, every single week, the criteria gets more stringent.
It gets tighter.
You know, and tighter. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you better be fucking bringing your A game. And Rolling Stone sure did sack up with this one with another fucking big star record.
Hopefully we've reached the end of those big star records. I mean, I didn't mind listening to them as much as you did, although I'm not like super happy about it either.
Yeah.
But
the good news is that their entire discography is represented.
It's already,
on this list.
We're already there. So
yeah.
Unless they have some kind of new release, posthumous release or something that comes out.
Wait a minute. No, fuck. I don't think we're done because since every record is on this list, then clearly their greatest hits is going to be the highest one.
It has to be.
But it won't be I'm sorry. It won't be a greatest hits. It's going to be the anthology.
With every song.
That's right.
And nothing else. Just the songs that were on these 3 records put into one.
I mean, listen, they'll include 3 separate outtakes for each song that was on every record just to make sure that everybody understands everything that Big Star ever did.
Because we need to know that.
Listen, why else would you listen to every one of their albums?
Big Star has to be the most important goddamn band in the history of music. Because every album of theirs is on the list.
Listen, I'm going to shit on Big Star a lot more, but before we continue that, I do want to like, there was a ton of new music that came out on Friday and I was driving on Friday. So I wound up spinning a little bit of that new music. Did you get a chance to listen to any of that?
I
know that you were super busy.
I actually did not. Yeah. I had a gig out of town on my own. So, and it looks like My Morning Jacket came out. Did you listen to that?
No, that's not true.
Wait, no, that's this Friday. Yeah. Sorry, never mind. Psych.
Yeah.
New Coldplay record. I do remember looking at what was coming out actually, but I didn't actually listen to anything.
You didn't.
But no, actually that's not true. That's not true. Sorry. You dig it. If you're expecting Southeastern, this is not that at all.
No, not at all.
In fact, I think you had to get to like the 5th or 6th track. The very first track is Jason Isbell singing, and then you had to get to like the 5th or 6th one before you heard his voice again.
To get him again, yeah. Because it's all features and it's all features of all cover tunes?
It's all cover tunes, all
Yeah.
by Georgia artists.
Oh, that's what the trick was. That's the string tying all this together.
Yeah, so he basically put
Jesus.
out a tweet during the election, and he says if Joe Biden wins Georgia, he was going to record a cover album of Georgia artists. And then when Joe Biden won Georgia, he basically was like, "All right, I wasn't fucking kidding. Like,
Here
I'm
we
actually
go.
going to do that." And so
Wow.
he did that.
Sometimes Salvation, which is a Black Crowes cover.
That was badass.
fucking rips,
The
dude.
guitar tone on like that Jason gets.
It
on
was
that.
perfect.
Yeah.
It was like it was just like Rich Robinson. You know what I mean? It was perfect.
Yep.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it was killer. I'm looking up like the version of In Memory of Elizabeth Reed.
That fucking Elizabeth Reed crush, dude. Like the organ on that Elizabeth Reed. And I'm trying to figure this out. Is that what Peter Levin is? Is Peter Levin an organist? Because he's the featured artist on that track. And
he must have been then.
Because I was driving, I didn't have a chance to look it up.
Because there's no vocals on that, so it must have been.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an instrumental. I mean,
so if there was a feature, he probably was the organ. I'm saying,
and that yeah, and I kind of have to think that too, even though I can't necessarily do. I'm sorry, Peter Levin, you're not really Google search optimized, and I'm not trying to beat up on anybody here, but you're not really Google search optimized. Just so that you know.
The Brandy Carlisle tune was good.
It was really good.
That song, Kid Fears. Who was that one by again?
No clue.
That was
I literally just learned from you that these were all Georgia artists.
Yeah. I don't know, but
that Midnight
James
Train,
Brown.
That Midnight Train to
Georgia
yeah. is fucking killer. And the Britney Spencer doing It's a Man's World is just balling out of control. It's really, really good.
Dope.
It's a really spectacular album. They also remastered Let It Be.
Did you end up giving that a shot?
I did. Yeah. And it was a good reminder about why I never listened to that record. Because even remastered, unfortunately, the wall of sound still sounds like a wall of shit.
Is that bad? Is it any better than the original or for you, or does it exactly the same?
It's exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
Yeah, it's exactly the same for me.
Did you check out the new Tom Morello?
No. And in fact, I don't even see it on here anymore, but I did get really hooked on something. But I want you to finish your thought about Tom Morello. What did you think about it?
I didn't check it out at all. I'm just looking through a list and see that he put out his latest full-length studio release.
Yeah, Apple Music has no love for Mr. Morello because they don't even have him on like their new this week shit. But an artist that I did get into, they didn't release any new music this week, but I want to give a shout out to my son Mikey because Mikey's been trying to get me on these guys for a really, really long time, and I finally jumped into these waters, and I recommend anybody that loves underground hip hop right now, stop everything that you're doing. And if you haven't listened to Czarface, Czarface,
like a Russian czar?
Yes. Like a Russian czar with face on the end of it. If you've never heard those guys and you dig good underground hip hop, stop what you're doing and listen to all 9 records right fucking now.
All right, I gotta get out of
here. In all seriousness, the next time that you have like free listening and you feel like listening to really good hip hop, check out Every Hero Needs a Villain by Czarface. It was their second full length record. So Czarface is Inspector Deck from the Wu-Tang Clan, and then a Boston underground hip hop duo. One of the guys named is Esoteric. The other one is 7L. So it's those 3 guys. So it's like a super group, kind of like Run the Jewels. In fact, they remind me a fuck ton like Run the Jewels. Totally different sounds, different flows, and different rhymes and everything. Oh, and that's the other unique thing is like, so all of the album art and everything, they're all into comic books. And so it's all like Czarface is their alter ego, right? So Czarface is literally like the hero of these comic books.
Like a superhero.
Yes. And so they incorporate all of that into their rhyme schemes and everything too. So they're constantly rapping about like Marvel Comics and DC Comic Heroes. They're big into wrestling too. So there's all of these fucking wrestling references peppered throughout this shit. It's fucking brilliant.
That's kind of a common thread with Wu-Tang, though, isn't it? Like the comic book love.
I mean, with
you
certain members of the Wu-Tang Clan, yeah.
With Ghostface and Iron Man.
Yeah, Ghostface is really, he was really into comics. Jizza, I don't think was so much into comics. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely there, but you also get all those kung fu references in Wu-Tang too. And the kung fu references are far more prolific than what the comic references are.
Especially in like Liquid Swords. That's all it is.
That's all it is. Yeah, it's just those old school, Japanese like samurai movies. But you can listen to any Ghostface album and it's almost all comic book references, right? To Tony Stark and to Iron Man and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to that.
Okay.
Very, very similar to that. But the beats are different. The beats remind me a lot of fucking Run the Jewels. Like they're really.
So it's like pretty heavy and aggressive almost, because Run the Jewels is pretty heavy, right? I would say.
But it's it doesn't sound like anything else. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't sound like anything that you would hear from like a Lil Wayne produced record. Like it doesn't sound like mainstream hip hop. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just really, it's fucking wild.
Czarface,
yeah.
I'm gonna hit it up. Check it out.
Double Dose of Danger is a record that they did with Danger Mouse, and there's no rapping on it whatsoever. It's literally just a record full of beats, but they're fucking sick.
Wow. Okay.
It's really killer.
So they're producers as well as rappers then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. Really, really good. Check out Czarface. I can't stop. In fact, I've already ordered multiple Czarface vinyls.
On vinyl? Nice.
Man, I feel like I picked up something else on vinyl here recently too that I got super excited about, but
something from the list that you ordered or something you just found? Did you do any vinyl shopping in Texas on your recent trip?
No, not on my most recent trip.
No.
That's the thing. I haven't bought a record in a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been forever since I've been into Marv's or into Vinyl Cup.
Yeah.
It's just
I feel
a
the
time
same.
issue.
Yeah.
We've
both been busy.
Yeah. Just don't fucking have time. But check out Czarface. Definitely check out Jason Isbell. Check out Georgia Blue.
Yeah.
If you're into Phil Spector, I guess check out the newly remastered version of Let It Be.
And let us know so we can block you from our listening platforms. Sorry, Lee.
I don't think Lee likes the wall of sound. I think he tolerates it because...
Yeah, I don't think he's like a Spector fanboy or anything.
No, I don't think he is either. I don't think those exist. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully not anymore.
I mean, outside of Rolling Stone, I don't think those things exist.
Yeah, they do clearly have a hard on for him.
Clearly they have a hard on for him. All right. What do you say?
Let's do it. So we're getting back into Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we are picking it up at number 285. You want to read that off, Mike?
Absolutely. Coming in at number 285 from 1978, we have the third and thankfully final album from Big Star that's going to be appearing on the list, entitled Third/Sister Lovers. Rolling Stone says Big Star's first two albums were crisp, power pop full of bright 60s melodies. Their third album very much wasn't. The band recorded their final LP in 1974, but it didn't get released until 1978, in part because singer Alex Chilton sounds like he's having a nervous breakdown. It's a record of gorgeous, disjointed heartbreak ballads such as Take Care, Nighttime, and Blue Moon. Even when they're more optimistic, the songs almost seem to disintegrate as they unfold, finally collapsing into the sublime apocalypse of the album closing Kangaroo. So, quick editorial note that JB and I discussed on this record. It's really difficult to find like a version of this on streaming services that has the songs in the originally released order where Kangaroo appeared last.
And even with all the original tracks, like, or without additional ones, there's been several re-releases of this, including like a fan re-release that I think is actually the most popular version currently.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. So what we wound up settling in on was basically, I think it was the 1993 reissue. Is that right?
That's the one that was compiled by somebody else.
That is.
I don't think it was a fan, but it was someone involved with it, and that's the one that's titled Third Sister Lovers. So I think that's the one that Rolling Stone is talking about, which is weird because they put 1978, but the original one was just called Third, and then the one that we listened to, like if you go on the Wikipedia page, it reads that as Third/Sister Lovers.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think we did the right thing, but undoubtedly there's a part of me that kind of wants to hear the way that it was originally sequenced.
Yeah.
Because that song Kangaroo is one of the songs that actually stood out to me. And
I think the reason that it just was so disjointed was that like they sat on it for a while and the band's heart wasn't really fully in it. Like I'm sure we're going to get into talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like falling apart as they were putting this album together. It wasn't even really a big star record. I was reading that they just kind of threw the name on it in order to market it, but really it was like the lead singer, Alex Chilton or whatever.
Yeah, and then mostly, the drummer.
Yeah,
it was like the primary songwriter and lead singer Alex Chilton and the drummer. Those were the only dudes left.
And the drummer didn't even really like contribute that much.
Exactly. You know? He just decided to stick around. I guess.
Yeah, he's like, I guess I'll play a little bit on this album.
He's like, man, my boy Alex is just fucking melting down in here. I guess I'll hang out and see what happens.
Play some drums with him. But yeah, I mean, this is very different for sure than the other one. For the most part, there are a couple tunes on it that are reminiscent of a lot of the pretty upbeat 70s rock that's on the other ones, which I didn't really hate. So for me, I don't know if this is that much better. There are a couple tunes on it that I really do like. But I didn't love listening to this. I will say that.
I don't think that it was necessarily. I mean, they sat on it for 4 years, right? Because it wasn't,
or longer. Yeah,
yeah, because it wasn't necessarily easy. It's not easy listening.
4 years.
It's not easy listening for me either. But I will say this: there were more songs that I actually really enjoyed on this record than either of the other two records. Maybe combined, because there were a lot of songs that I actually put the only songs that I actually put 3 stars next to both those songs.
I put 1 star next to Holocaust and 2 next to Kangaroo. I did like Kangaroo. There was some pretty experimental stuff going on there, like cool uses of effects that they were doing.
Yes.
Pretty like avant-garde instrumentation, you know? It was like a basic song, but they were doing weird stuff with the interpretation of it and the instrumentation.
Yeah.
I had 1 song with 4 stars, and I really loved it. It was Blue Moon.
I put 1 star next to Blue Moon.
That was a gorgeous ballad. Like, dude, it was sad.
The fucking beautiful oboe, man. How many fucking rock albums do you hear that has a fucking oboe on it? Now, granted, it's an oboe on a ballad, but still, like, it works so beautifully.
It's a rock song still.
Yeah, it's a rock song with a fucking oboe crushing. I did dig it. And I wrote, it might be a bassoon. I don't know. It's one of those weird, it's definitely a weird double reeded instrument. I genuinely think it's an oboe, but
probably is.
If somebody said, no, you dumb fuck, that's a bassoon, I would be like, okay.
Don't be a buffoon. That's a bassoon. Oh God. I had to do it.
Well done, dude. Well done. Well done. One day you're going to be a great 3rd grade music teacher.
The song You Can't Have Me. I actually really liked that one. It was like almost 70s arena rock kind of stuff, but they did this really weird thing where they put this super strong, like wide envelope filter on the bass. So it would have sounded like an auto wah. And that's the 11th track.
That's what I was gonna, so what was this? Give me the song title again.
You Can't Have Me.
Oh, You Can't Have Me. Yeah, that one was one that I didn't necessarily dig.
I actually liked the song, but
I did literally, the first thing I wrote was wild effect on the bass.
Yeah, because I'm not sure it worked for me. I was just like, I mean, that would fit in with like a funkadelic tune, but it just doesn't really fit here at all. Like a weird choice, in my opinion.
Yeah,
to put that effect on the bass there.
Yeah, I wrote it was all right, but it wasn't necessarily my thing. I really enjoyed Nighttime too. I put a couple stars next to Nighttime. I just thought that it was kind of a sweet little lullaby. You know?
Yeah. I liked that one. I did like Nighttime as well.
And I also liked Big Black Car towards the top of the record.
Loved the guitar style on that. I don't know that I really loved the actual song personally. It was really, really slow and spacey.
Yeah.
You know, which is how a lot of the songs on this were. But the guitar style on that was really, really great. I loved what he was doing. It was super reverby, playing little like arpeggio triad kind of stuffs,
Mhm.
kind of stuff.
I like the way that the guitar and the piano played off of each other.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like the blending of all of them between the vocals and the piano and the guitar. I liked how they all mixed together. You know, like it was pleasant. It was nice.
The other one I really liked before we move on was Oh Dana. I actually loved that one. That was a 3-star song for me. Kind of like a swing folk rock kind of tune, but really, really sing along chorus.
How deep was that?
Felt good. That was the 6th track on there.
Oh, I skipped a page.
Not a 3-star song for you, Mike.
Right for me, it was fine. I didn't. All right, so if any Big Star record is going to be on this list, like to me, this is my favorite one.
Yeah.
And you know, you made the reference earlier that all of this was kind of weird and spacey, you know, and it is. But I think that that's the reason why I'm going to say it. I actually enjoyed this record.
It works for you more than the others.
Yeah, because like that power pop fucking like glossy bullshit from the first 2 records, like it fucking felt so fake. And I like I get it, right? We've been down this road so many times, you know. The first album is called like #1 record, and it's all tongue in cheek, and then the other one was like, I don't know, fucking big something, whatever. Like it's supposed to be a joke, right? Like it's all supposed to be kind of like a haha, look at us, we're rock stars type of thing. But it's like when you're making music like that, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of fucking hate it. You know what I mean? Like, because to me, it's not ironic. It's just shitty.
It just comes across annoying. And,
yeah.
To you.
And I feel bad in a way that I feel that way, but
you can't help it though.
I can't help it. Yeah. It's just the response that I get. And I don't get that here, right? Because even though it still has the name Big Star on it, like I don't feel like this was a record that was created by somebody that was trying to make a #1 record.
Right. Yeah, definitely not.
You know,
this is like made by a couple people who are over that, you know, and they're like, God, we're doing this again. Like, I thought we were done with this shit.
They're like, hey, when I woke up this morning, I thought that the fucking nightmare was over, but then I realized I had to go back to the studio.
Yes.
So fuck you.
Let's fucking get this over with. Sit on it for 4 years and release it. I think that this band was a huge influence on a lot of bands. I think is the reason why these albums are on here. Because I mean, I don't think they were overly commercially successful, like just with the general population.
Yeah.
But I've read a lot about just how influential these guys were to a lot of bands, and I think they kind of formed a bridge to some new genres in the 70s. So
yeah, and I gotta respect that. I gotta respect it. And I do respect their influence on other bands, but I will say this for me personally, this is one that I feel like I could connect with on some level. The other stuff, I just didn't do it.
So you want to take the other ones off the list entirely and put this one lower, or leave it where it is? Lower, much lower.
Yeah, probably like 475.
475. Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with it being on the list, but it's got to be probably bottom 50.
Near bottom. Me. Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Actually, with this record, if you wanted to put it at 400, I'd be okay with that, because this isn't like super easily accessible. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be willing to appreciate. You got to be willing to appreciate the circumstance of this record, I think, in a lot of ways. And to a certain extent, you have to know what they did before to understand why this one, I don't know, could be the standout of their three records.
Yeah.
That's true. Which for me, I would say, well, fuck it. Just take them all off the list.
I was going to say, you're almost making an argument that they all need to be on the list.
I mean,
you've convinced me.
What do you want to do with Big Star? Because you didn't hate the first two.
I didn't hate the first two. I need to review my notes. I don't hate this one, but I think that this is my second favorite. I feel like I liked the first one the best, and I need to go back and just make sure of that. But
I concur with that.
I think I would put those two on here, and then drop the middle one.
Yeah. And I think you can make a case for that too, but then But then for me, that one doesn't, and only the first one does, because everybody ended up loving that show.
That 70s show.
Yeah, that 70s show. Yeah, maybe that's why it needs to be on that list.
For that reason alone. Yeah. Well,
I'm glad it's over.
Yeah. No more Big Star. The nightmare's over, Mike.
I did not add it to
Storm's
digital.
gone. Yeah.
If I found it in By Felicia, I would pick this one up. I'm not going to pay for it new, but I would pick this one up used just to have it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't hate it.
And to be clear, if I was going to leave, the first one and this one on, I'm kind of in the same boat that I would drop them down pretty far. They'd be in the 400s.
Yeah, both of them, right?
Both of them. Yeah.
Although I wouldn't put them 5 places fucking apart from each other.
No, I'd give people a little break.
Yeah.
Especially people recording podcasts
that are listening to 5 records a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
give those poor fucks a break.
Yeah.
Should we see what Rex has to say?
That's what I was just going to say. Go for it.
I'll do it. So here's it's a short commentary from Rex on this one. He says, "Fuck, another Big Star album. This guy is singing like he's having a mental breakdown. Why is this album here?" That's all he said.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's not a ringing endorsement.
No, it's not a huge. Yeah.
I don't think he might not have liked it.
I don't know if I go that far, dude. Don't get crazy.
Okay, all right.
284. Merle Haggard, Down Every Road, spanning the years 1962 to 1994.
A lot of roads.
Released in 96. You can cover many roads in those years. Haggard's tough country sound was born in Bakersfield, California, aka Nashville West. His songs are full of drifters, fugitives, and rogues. And this 4-disc set, culled from his seminal recordings for Capitol, as well as MCA and Epic, is the ultimate collection from one of country's finest singers. Songs like Mama Tried and All My Friends Are Going to Be Strangers are archetypal statements of lonely tough guy individualism. And like James Brown's Star Time, the quality stays rock solid over 4 CDs. It does stay rock solid because it's almost all exactly the same. And I say that as someone who actually does like Merle Haggard.
I love Merle Haggard.
I dig it, but this is a 5-hour long anthology.
Down every road. And hey, for the record, JB and I were both born in California. I spent my whole life up until 18 living in California. You know how many times I heard somebody call Bakersfield Nashville West?
0.
How about fucking 0?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I was thinking that too. I read that and I've been through Bakersfield quite a few times and never heard anybody say anything like that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that when people talk about Bakersfield, the only thing they talk about is meth. Okay. So fuck off with your Nashville West.
Yeah.
But with Merle Haggard, full and fair disclosure, and I don't want to speak for JB, I did not take notes on every song. There's 99 songs on this collection that runs 4 CDs and it runs 4 hours and 45 minutes. It's a lot of Merle Haggard. And it is the crazy. Tell me if you feel the same way about this. The craziest thing that I felt on this record is that early on, when you're getting the really young Merle Haggard, you can definitely hear a little bit of youth in his voice over like the first, say, 10 to 15 songs on the collection. But then when his voice settles in, like kind of after he goes through a little bit of the youthful phase, even when you get to like the last CD, like the last 10 tracks on the collection, he doesn't sound markedly different. Like
not at all. Yeah.
There's a little bit of age to his voice towards the end on a handful of tracks.
In fact, you could almost like argue there's some regression in there a little bit. Like sometimes I was thinking, oh, did they jump back an era? But it's all pretty linear, isn't it?
It is. I do think that all these recordings are fairly linear. I mean, they may have slipped a couple that weren't chronologically in order in there. Cause I agree with you. Every once in a while, there was one where I'd catch myself thinking, oh, is this baby Merle again? Or is this like, middle-aged Merle again? You know, but it's crazy because his voice almost changes none. You know, there's almost no change.
He's very consistent. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And the quality is high, you know, but yeah, I mean, these are all basic Merle Haggard country songs. They all sound very, very similar.
And Merle Haggard, for the record, is the reason why there's that joke about country western music that if you play it backwards on a record player, your dog comes back to life, you get remarried, and your house that got knocked down by a tornado comes back to life.
Yeah.
Like it's standing again. Because that's what a lot of these songs are. Like these are really kind of traditional country, a lot of heartbreak, you know?
Yeah.
Like a lot of heartbreak.
Very
through
much
a lot of
so.
these
There's a
songs.
lot of, he basically broke up with a lot of women.
A ton of them.
Or
Yeah.
He's ran into quite a few troubles. There's an odd mixture of like rebelliousness and at the same time the absolute like opposite of that. You know? Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Because I mean, Merle was definitely like one of the original like outlaw country.
Yeah,
right? Like
definitely.
He's a name that's associated with outlaw country, and there's definitely that element of here. Like there are elements of outlaw country in here, but then there's plenty that don't have any of those elements.
Yeah,
too.
not at all. Yeah.
I do take umbrage with the Okie from Muskogee song because I'm pretty fucking sure that Merle Haggard did a lot of fucking drugs.
I think he did too. Yeah.
Like a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
So don't give me this bullshit about how you've never fucking smoked weed.
And you don't want to be like the hippies in San Francisco.
Yeah,
make a party out of love making and stuff like that.
That's right.
And then he's also saying that he's like, you know, sleeping with all these women and spending time in jail and stuff.
That's right.
It's a little hypocritical.
You can't have your cake and eat it too, Merle. Like you're either down to party, which we all know that you were down to party, or you weren't. Okay, so don't give us that bullshit.
Exactly.
That actually that's a fun song though. Okie from Muskogee.
I mean, it's a good sing along tune. It's got a good chorus for sure.
Yeah,
can't hate it. I love Mama Tried, one of my favorite tunes for sure.
Of course. Who do you like better? Do you like Merle or the Dead?
Probably Merle, because it's the original. You know, I mean, I dig the Dead's version is cool. They changed like the chord progression. It's not exactly the same, which I appreciate because most of the time when they do a cover, it's just exactly the same. But that is not the case at all. So
no,
I like both versions. They're very different.
Super different. Yeah. I mean, you can hear it, especially when Merle gets to the chorus, right? Like the chorus is instantly recognizable to that song, but once you separate from there, yeah, they're pretty different songs. And I like them both too. I probably prefer the Dead, but
yeah,
that's just because I like the jam.
Silver Wings is good.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other like big, The Fight Inside of Me? That's like another one of those kind of patriotic tunes. But it was very, very popular.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that
Love It or Leave It.
Love It or Leave It one.
Yeah, The Fight Inside of Me is the Love It or Leave It song. So that's one thing, like, I guess we may as well interject this in here too, because I was telling JB before the podcast started that one of the things that struck me about this, I mean, whatever you call it, anthology, this gigantic collection, is that you can almost like follow the trail of conservatism in the United States by listening to this collection of songs, because like early on in these collections when he was younger, like there's this real love of country and how, you gotta love everything about, the United States, love its freedoms, love all this. Oh yeah. And by the way, if you don't like it here, you can just get the fuck out.
Fucking leave.
Yeah, just get out. And that's kind of what The Fight Inside of Me goes into. But then by the time that you get to the end of this collection where he's recording stuff in the early 90s, he's literally got songs where he's like, yeah, this country's fucked and there's no way that it's ever going to get any better.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, the song, oh shit, I'm sorry, I accidentally hit play on that. So the song is literally titled, "Are the Good Times Really Over? I wish a buck was still silver."
And the song, spoiler alert, yes. That's what Merle Haggard thinks.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Times are over.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Spoiler alert. This whole country's fucked now, and it's never going to be as good as it was back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was telling, literally like that's conservatism.
Yeah. And I was telling Mike before that, like, I have some older Facebook friends, God bless their souls, and you can basically they must be just pulling lyrics from Merle Haggard songs and posting them as Facebook statuses, and using it to kind of form their worldview. Certainly, absolutely no one listening to this podcast.
But definitely not. And listen, I'm not bagging on any of this. It's just like, it's funny because when you put together a collection of songs that are compiled over 32 years, yeah, shit changes.
Yeah.
Times
You're gonna see
they are
someone's-
changing.
You're going to see someone's ideology kind of develop or
especially as an artist.
decline.
Yeah. But I mean, especially as an artist like this, because I mean, and I don't even know. Did you look up how many of these? I mean, how many of these are originals versus like traditional songs? Traditional.
Well, there's
country
definitely
western
some
songs,
covers
right?
on here. Well,
I mean, a lot of these are definitely going to. Something tells me that I think I'll just stay here and drink is probably not a traditional country song.
that sounds like a Merle Haggard song.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it came from the Great American Songbook.
No. That's not a Pete Seeger tune.
No. Which was the one? Man, there's one song on here that I fucking loved. Oh, Here in Frisco. God damn, dude. That song
You're in Frisco.
absolutely crushed me.
He's talking
loved
about
that
how it's
song.
like past 2 and all the bars are closed in Chicago and New York, but in Frisco he's still up. And
Yeah. And he's lonely because he doesn't have his lady with him.
yeah.
I really love that song.
I wish I could tell you how many of these songs were originals. But
But
on the Wikipedia page, there's only a writer listed on 1.
Oh, then if you scroll to the top of that, it probably says all songs written by Merle Haggard except where noted.
The thing is,
That means that
they're
he wrote-
not.
Oh,
Like if you click on several of them, you can say, "Oh, this is by this other person." So
God.
for some reason, like, well, I think, like
Turd
for example, I think he must have written most of them.
Yeah.
But like, there's a Townes Van Zandt song on there. You
Okay.
familiar with Townes Van Zandt?
I'm not. No. And we've talked about this before, I think.
Yeah, I think we did talk
least
about it one
once.
time. That Poncho and Lefty, that song is his probably most famous song. So that's like
Merle Haggard song.
no Townes Van Zandt.
Oh.
Poncho and Lefty. That's a Townes Van Zandt song, and that's like, and so Merle covered
Interesting.
that. That's towards the end of this one.
With Willie.
Yes. Did you like that song?
I did like that song.
It's a
yeah.
fucking great song.
It is great.
Townes Van Zandt's kind of always been like a songwriter. So
Okay.
like he's someone that like not a lot of people in the general population know, but like the real folky songwriters all love him. And
Yeah.
adore him.
I
revere him.
loved the interplay between the timbre of Willie's voice balanced with the tenor of Merle's voice.
It's so unmistakable too. I mean,
I know.
I had that playing while I was like cleaning the kitchen or something. I was like, oh, that's Willie. You know, like
That's
there's no
exactly
way.
right. Yeah, you
can't.
can't mistake it.
Yeah.
You can't mistake it for anything else. Okay, so let's talk about how fucking lazy is it to not just put a greatest hits record on, but let's put a fucking 32-year 4-disc 5-hour anthology onto a list.
Yeah. I mean, we've had some anthologies, but this is by far the most egregious especially because it doesn't really change that much. Like lyrically and ideologically, it changes, but like musically,
It changes more from a political,
Way more,
ideological
don't you think?
standpoint, yes, than it does musically.
way more.
100%.
Like,
I cannot possibly agree with that statement more.
yeah. Like what was the conversation in like the Rolling Stones room? They're just like, well, we got to put Merle Haggard on here. Yeah. Why don't we just put every fucking song he ever wrote? We can just put it all on there.
Do they have that? I mean, is there a disc of
Is that
that?
available?
Yeah, Jim, it fucking came out in 96. Will you do your goddamn homework? All right, let's just
Yeah,
put it on.
I vote for that one. Fuck you, Jim.
I mean, and listen, maybe the answer is Merle Haggard released 49 records and all of them had no, I'm sorry, he released 98 records and all of them had one good song on them. None of them were all good. So fuck it, we can't do this.
We just
can't
had to
do
pick
this.
one from each. Is that what it is? I wonder how many records he actually did put out.
I mean, probably.
Probably a bunch.
Do you think it was less than 15?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not.
Look, there's a whole shit ton. In
Yeah.
fact, you might even not be far off when you said 98. I'm going to attempt to count them real fast, but I'm going to systematically do it.
Okay, well, tell me this, because you're looking at it and you're systematically trying to count that very, very fast. Is it too big of a list? Do you think?
Yeah.
Really? So you think that it would be almost impossible to narrow that list down to maybe 3 records that should appear on this list?
There's like 64 albums that he released. So, I mean, it would be, yeah, I think 63 or 64. So that's a lot, you know.
As I tip my cap to Merle fucking Haggard.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
But surely there has to be a greatest hits, you know, like that, which was the very first thing you said, you know,
yeah,
as opposed to an anthology. Either they could have picked one of his, you know, a couple of his more successful, more well-known albums, or they could have picked, I'm sure there's a greatest hits. In fact, I'm pretty sure there is for sure.
Unquestionably, there's a fucking greatest hits. There's probably 20 different greatest hits albums from Merle Haggard.
Exactly. So very prolific dude though, for sure. No one can take that away from him.
Yeah, and he's wonderful to listen to. Like if you're into country music, especially like old outlaw country, it doesn't get any better.
He has a gorgeous voice.
Yeah.
You can hear the influence on Sturgill Simpson, like vocally.
I was just gonna say you can hear Sturgill.
Yeah. I mean, vocally it just sounds like Sturgill, right? Like his voice.
It's so similar and especially with specific words or kind of phrases, man.
The way he kind of like puts emphasis on certain syllables and stuff. The exact same like vocal mannerisms. You can tell that Sturgill just picked that up straight from Merle.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't hate either one of them for it.
No.
Because it's beautiful. It's beautiful and it works really, really well.
And he had sorry to interrupt you. No. He had 38 #1 hits on the US country charts. That's pretty significant.
That's super significant. And I'm sure all 38 of those hits are on this collection.
Lots of awards too, including 1965 Most Promising Male Vocalist.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's a good thing he was promising in 65.
Yeah. He showed some true talent.
True talent.
So, anyways.
What? Okay. I want you to go first here.
I know we hate greatest hits, but I'm going to say this is a situation where you put a greatest hits on the list. I enjoyed listening to Merle Haggard. It was a lot to get through in a week, but it wasn't painful by any means. You know, I like every time that I was listening, I didn't really get bored, although it does all sound the same. So like when you're trying to pick out certain songs, that gets difficult, you know,
super difficult
when you listen to 100 of them.
It became defined by lyrics for me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean? You start to, those stick out to you. Yeah. Absolutely. Because
the
musically they're all very similar. Yep.
The lyrics stick out.
And usually that's not the case with either of us.
I know.
But with a list like this, where you're representing albums, you know, which is a medium, this is not that.
No.
So
it's not. Even if you said, man, this is too hard, we can't just do one greatest hits, because I'm sure that he had a collection of greatest hits from his early part of his career and then a collection from later on in his career. Even if you wanted to do that, or if there was a double, you know, if there was a double album of greatest hits that kind of encapsulated early and then later stuff, all of that to me is way more appropriate than this,
because he surely needs represented. I mean, probably one of the most significant figures in country music, and even in folk music, because he was pretty cross genre with his style. It wasn't like, well, I mean, it's country, but like it influenced folk music, you know.
Mount Rushmore of country music has got to be Hank Williams, Willie,
Johnny
Merle,
Cash, and Merle,
Johnny, right?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, no offense, but Chris Christopherson doesn't make it.
Yeah, you don't think so?
I mean, not over
Merle.
Not over any of his contemporaries, Merle, Johnny, or
Hank
Hank to me was the wild card, but Hank to me, he's the OG. The OG of OGs And if you listen, like Lee Stamper dug through his entire fucking catalog.
Hank Williams.
Yes. And Lee Stamper is like, dude, Hank Williams is fucking legit.
Yeah, he is.
Really, really good.
We'll get Hank on here for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll
probably
probably
won't
get
get-
a nice, concise greatest hits.
We probably won't get Hank the Third. No way to know for sure.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a way. Definitely
we
not
will
gonna
not
be.
be seeing Hank.
Definitely not
Hank
gonna be.
3 on here.
Yeah. But I mean, we're like Willie's going to be on here.
Willie's definitely gonna be on here.
Johnny is going to be on here with
At
Live at
Folsom
Folsom
Prison has to be top 50, right?
At least I would call it top 100, only because this list is extremely biased against country music.
That's true.
You know, so it's probably not going to be that high.
Yeah.
But top 100 for sure.
I mean, there's not even any Florida Georgia line on here.
Fucking
Thus
criminal.
far, at least. Yeah,
Fucking criminal.
seriously. Okay. Well, you want to read Rex on him real quick?
Yeah. Let's see what Mr. Todd has to say. Okay,
You
so
don't have a lot to read.
I know. The Hag. Yes, love him or hate him. He's just a country music legend and icon. I absolutely love this album. This compilation, Rex. Okay, you can love it. It's just old school storytelling, perfect place on the list. Man, okay. Listen, I respect that. And I respect this place on the list too, but I want this to be a greatest hits. I don't respect a fucking 5-hour compilation.
I respect Merle being in this position on the list, but not with this. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm saying the same thing as you.
You are.
Shout out Rex. I don't know if he came up with that nickname, but I
The
love
Hag.
The Hag. The Hag. I love it. All about it. I'm gonna start using that. Thank you, Rex.
Thank you, Rex. All right. Moving along.
Thank you, The Hag. Okay, moving on. We have this is you. Yeah.
All right, 283 from 1975. The one, the only, the queen of disco, Donna Summers with Bad Girls.
Woo!
Rolling Stone says the Boston-born Donna Summer was the queen of disco by the end of the 70s, but she wanted more. With her double vinyl epic Bad Girls, she set out to conquer every corner of pop music in the name of disco, along with her longtime producers Giorgio Moroder and Pete Bellotte. Hot Stuff was her rock anthem, while Bad Girls found her post-Steely Dan snapshot of LA malaise. You love this record.
I actually really did. Yeah, cool to get Giorgio Moroder so soon after Daft Punk.
I know.
as well.
So soon after Daft Punk, I thought the exact same thing. When I
Yeah.
saw that Giorgio had a hand basically in this whole record,
Yeah.
that like it instantly made me think of that Daft Punk song in the interview with him where he's talking about the click track and everything else that he was doing. And I was like, it endeared me to this record a lot more.
And he talked
honestly.
about his, that he understood that synths were the future.
Where the future,
And there's a lot of that going on here.
dude, a ton.
Yeah, so
And
much.
it's all good too.
It's fucking great. It's tasteful. It's not cheesy.
But there's way more than just disco too.
There it is. Yes.
There's a lot more, because when they talk about, trying to conquer every corner of pop, there's a lot of that shit on here, almost some country-esque type sounds on here too, which I thought was like weird.
Which tunes did you think were country?
Well, there was only one. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. And I wouldn't say it's not a country. I mean, it's not a country song, but hang on.
Well, because I was just
Dig it
thinking
up,
that I
man.
feel like I remember feeling that way too, but I can't remember which one it was. And I'm trying to see if I wrote a note about it.
Yeah.
So I think I remember writing something. I'm reading through my terrible handwriting.
Yeah, I know.
My handwriting goes in like phases. Like some of it is really, really good, and like you can
okay
totally
on
read it.
on my honor.
Some is bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
I said I guess this is country disco.
Yeah.
Question mark.
It did have like a slide guitar, maybe even a pedal steel. I'm not sure which it
There
was.
was pedal steel.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, because I looked up the personnel credits on it just to make sure that I wasn't fucking going nuts. And there was a pedal steel on that song.
I did start out not loving that tune because at that point, like the whole album had been like fucking fire up to that point, and I wrote, "We don't need this ballad. We need more disco bangers." That's what I wrote. But then I was like, "Oh, nice slide guitar." Although now we know it's pedal steel, and a really good hook on it. And I ended up giving it 2 stars. There are a shit ton of stars on this page, on my page.
See, for me, I didn't necessarily throw a ton of. Now, early on, I did not a ton of stars. Probably, "Dim All the Lights" and "Walk Away" were my two favorite songs, and those I gave both of those songs 3 stars. But I have a lot of songs on here with 2 stars and a lot of songs with 1.
You didn't give Hot Stuff more than 3 stars?
No,
Wow.
I
That
only
was
gave
a
it
4-star tune for me.
I only gave it 2.
Yeah, that was a 4-star tune for me. I gave Bad Girls 3 stars.
gave
Just
that
super
2.
fun disco, tons of DJ formula on there to really, really great effect. Great hooks, like really, really good hooks on this.
know.
Level Always Find You had me thinking of Stevie Wonder, dude. Like it sounds just like Stevie Wonder. Great keys parts, just the chromaticness to the chorus and the horn lines.
It reminded me of the Bosom Buddies soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
that's what it reminded me of. The theme song from Bosom Buddies is what it reminded me of.
I loved Dim All the Lights. Really, really nice, like 2 guitar interlay kind of thing, and great synth patches on that. I gave 5 stars to Journey to the Center of Your Heart. I loved that song.
Man, I'm so glad I reread this. The coolest part about this album to me was the way that she took the 4 sides, right? Because this was a double LP. So you had 4 sides to an album. If you look at which songs were included on every side of the album, they flow seamlessly into one another.
That's exactly what I was going to write. Almost every song transitions perfectly into the next one. I didn't get the 4 breaks. So I just must not have noticed.
So the only ones where you don't get that seamless transition from one song into the next is when you would have flipped the record.
Yeah.
So after the 4th song, there's like a hard break before the 5th song picks up, but then 5 through 9, I think, flow seamlessly together.
And it is amazing. It's like so groovy and dancey. Like to the
I'm so sorry.
No, you go ahead.
We're like totally
We're both excited about it.
I know, because it's it's so rare to hear artists that do that, right? And that's something that I think that we both nerd out about it, because that happens all the time at a Dead concert or at a Fish concert, where you're just jamming and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what the fuck? Oh yeah, I love this song too. And that's what happens with this record.
Yeah.
And especially when they're these disco bangers, and then all of a sudden, like, the synth line that you were jamming to just kind of tweaks a little bit. And now all of a sudden you're in a totally different melody, but there was never a break, right?
Yes. And like, they definitely were very conscientious about how they lined these songs up, because like, it's just like enough of a change that, like, even when you're like driving in the car, you're like, that's a new song.
That's a new song.
But it sounds enough like the last one that it just was a seamless transition. And I wonder how much of that was Giorgio Moroder,
Listen, I'm curious about that myself. How much of this was, I don't know, like, the market needed an album that you could just put on, and as long as you had enough blow and a big enough dance floor, the music never stopped.
You can just keep it going.
Just keep it going. Because that's kind of what this felt like.
It did feel like that.
Okay, so we were at Journey to the Center of Your Heart.
Loved it, dude. 5-star tune for me. Like, peak disco music. Seriously.
The sax on that song crushed.
Yep. Great bass playing. That was the one with I think it had harp on it. Did it have harp on it?
I didn't make any notes about a harp on that particular song.
That's what my word says. Horns. Great horns on that one.
Yeah.
Lots of fun bass lines. I mean, the next tune, One Night in a Lifetime, I gave it 4. Dude, I loved it.
That fucking bass line smashed, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, absolutely smashed.
Yeah.
And I made a note that I felt like the chorus was from a different genre, but I couldn't figure it out.
On One Night in a Lifetime?
Yeah. It felt like it was like kind of disco banger, but then when you got to the chorus, it was almost like it was like a genre flip. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to hear the chorus in my head. It does make sense, but I'm trying to hear it.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and listen.
The backup vocals, though, like, I made note on One Night in a Lifetime about the backup vocals, but she had fucking killer backup vocals on this whole thing.
Yeah, that one was like a choir, wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 I love choir, like a big, or even just like a 3-part backing vocals.
That's right.
With female.
If you can create that choral effect, right, with 3 or 4 really, really top-notch female vocalists, that's money. Money
love
in
it.
the bank.
But yeah, I mean, I was surprised. This album fucking slaps for me. I loved it. I can't believe I feel like I've never given a second thought to Donna Summer, really. Like, honestly, I knew Hot Stuff, and I think I knew Bad Girls, and that was probably it off this whole album. And I loved it.
That's all I knew too. Absolutely. That's all I knew. I didn't like it. I didn't necessarily like it as much as you did per se, but that's not to say that I didn't like it. And one of the things that I probably liked the most about it is with Giorgio Moroder. Oh, Sunset People, by the way, I gave 3 stars to as well. I really I really enjoyed that song, but I did make note that I would probably prefer the radio edit.
A lot shorter.
They could be edited.
As much as I love the they're unnecessarily long. Yes. And like, even I don't know if this was on the original album cover or not, but on the Spotify album cover,
over 70 minutes of music.
And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, first of all, that's not necessarily something to brag about just because it's that much music, But if you just make the same song, kind of like a lot of the songs are basically the same thing for 6 minutes.
For 6 minutes, yeah. And I think that, I mean, listen, that's going to be a little bit of kind of an instant rub for me. You know what I mean? Like, if you have, okay, so let's harken back to the Freebird conversation, right? If I can say that about something like Freebird, imagine what I would say about anything like this.
That's
right.
True. Yeah.
And so that's where I think that's probably where the most criticism, and if you would call my fewer stars than what you gave it a lot of these songs, like if you would consider that criticism, like some of this was length, right? And
that's a factor. It was for me too.
Do I need to hear this hook for the fucking 6th time?
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, it was 4 times in a row. So I've heard the hook 6 times because you gave me the hook 2 times earlier, but now you're out of verses, and so you just keep giving me the hook.
Just keep doing it over and over.
Like over and over.
You're gonna do a little instrumental break and then bring it back.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
A couple times. I'm dumb. I forget quickly.
That's my only complaint against this album too.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I mean, I added it to digital, and I'll buy it on vinyl, dude. Like, I'm surprised by this one.
I would buy this on vinyl. I didn't add it to digital just because I can't picture the setting where I only have my phone and I want to listen to this. But if I'm at home, dude, I could be doing any number of things and being like, yeah, throw that fucking shit on.
Spend some time.
Yeah, we're gonna fucking get down. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And especially just like with the whole notion of the seamless transition, which so well done. But when you get to the back half of the record, where I think there's a little bit more experimentation in terms of the genre that she's playing with, you get a fucking ton of informed early 80s synth pop. Does that make sense?
That's what I was gonna say. You get a lot more synth work. I mean, even on like Sunset People.
Yeah.
Like, just like almost like cosmic synth effects, like spaceshipy kind of stuff, which I love.
I love that too. And it's not necessarily psychedelia, because it's not necessarily psychedelic, but it's fucking cool. It's different.
It's not like not psychedelic, but it's not like the purpose of it.
It's not endemically psychedelic, right?
Exactly.
It wasn't created for the purposes of psychedelia, but it winds up having kind of that feel to it.
Yeah, as a side effect.
But so much of this, like I think about some of the really early Madonna stuff and some of those sounds from that pop music from like 1980 to about 1984. And man, they were all just trying to redo what she did.
Yeah.
In my mind.
She knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
I love this. I think this is a great spot on the list, and I want it right there. I mean, or higher, but definitely not lower for me.
Yeah, I'm good with it here. If it was at 300, I wouldn't complain. If I found this at 270, I probably wouldn't complain either. It's in the right neighborhood, so I'm not going to I'm not going to complain about it.
Cool.
Is Mr. Rex going to complain about it? Is that what he's going to do this time?
Yes, he is going to complain. He didn't have a whole lot to say this week. Most of his commentaries are
fucking.
just
just
a lot of F
expletives.
words, and
Jesus.
I don't like saying F words, as you all know. I
know.
try to keep my language pretty clean on this podcast, but
Fucking
I'm gonna
guy.
read it. I'm gonna read this motherfucker's fucking pod. All right, so Rex Todd on Bad Girls. Fuck period disco period. Fuck disco period. Do we need a whistle used on any album ever? That was a synth. Was he talking about like the okay,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely unnecessary. Kind of like this album.
Oh
wait, I misinterpreted his message. He meant
The
absolutely
whistle was
unnecessary, kind of
unnecessary.
like this album.
Yes.
I thought he meant absolutely unnecessary. Side note, I kind of like this album. That's what he was saying. That's how I'm going to choose to interpret it.
For everybody else out there, I'm reading the exact same thing. Rex doesn't like this.
He
at
doesn't
all.
like this.
No, I don't think he wants it on the list.
Guess not. I do though.
Pick it up on vinyl, Rex. It'll sound better when you spin it.
Indeed.
Promise.
Everything does.
All right. Moving along.
Let's move along. 282, we have Frank Sinatra in the Wee Small Hours, released in 1955. In the Wee Small Hours, the first collection of songs Frank Sinatra recorded specifically for an LP, sustains a midnight mood of loneliness and lost love. It's a prototypical concept album. From the title track, brought in on the bell tones of a Celesta. Did I say that right?
Sure.
Cool. Through a Sinatra reeling from his breakup with Ava Gardner is never less than superb.
Dude, if I would have broken up with Ava Gardner, I probably would have been sad too.
You would have been bummed, and you would have been up in the wee small hours writing songs.
Poor Frankie Blue Eyes. Okay. Everybody should know that when this record was released, they talk about like these songs were specifically recorded for an LP. That's because before this record came out, no record companies thought that 12-inch long play records were even worth making. They were all 45s, or they were 10-inch records, apparently, from what I read, that didn't have like the same carrying capacity for songs or whatnot.
Weird.
But this record literally changed their mind because it was a massive hit. It sold tons and tons of copies. And this was, I mean, from what I read, according to Wikipedia, which is filled out mostly by 7th graders doing research projects, this, like, without this record, who knows when the 12-inch LP becomes really, really popularized? Because this was
weird, though, isn't it? I mean, like, why would they think that? Like, do they think that people don't have that attention span to listen to that much of the same?
Oh, why did the
think
record companies
people
do that?
just like getting up and changing the record over?
I think that it's because there wasn't necessarily there probably were a lot of phonographs in houses at that point in time. But I think that back then, I gotta believe that the music industry and the recording industry was controlled more by radio than by anything else. And radio didn't give a fuck about a long play record.
That's true.
They
weren't spinning that shit. They were spinning singles.
They were spinning singles. And so I have to imagine that was why record companies primarily focused on 45s.
Probably.
But in 1955, right, you're starting to get the advent of the middle class. You probably do start to get a whole lot more phonographs and record players inside of homes.
Yeah.
And then, like, why would you just want a single, right? Because who the fuck wants to get up and constantly change
that over?
Yeah, change singles. And so you get a long play record. Who knows? That
makes sense.
This record actually fell considerably from the very first.
I want to say it was like
iteration.
100 or something, right?
The very first iteration of this list, it came in at number 100. And it was specifically cited because of like the historical significance to LPs and everything else. I mean, not like that's not the only reason. Like, obviously, they felt like it was a great recording as well, especially of Frank Sinatra, which I agree with fundamentally.
Definitely.
But it's worth noting the other characteristics historically that I think makes sense for this record.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I mean, any little caveat about, this being one of the first LPs that really convinced record companies to start doing this on a larger scale should impact the standing probably.
Yeah. When you were listening to this both cold and when you were taking notes, I don't know. Give me a blanket statement for this whole thing.
This was kind of a tough one to like narrow down which ones I liked more than others for me. I love the whole thing, to tell you the truth. I like Frank Sinatra's voice. I mean, obviously,
super easy to listen to.
Who
right?
doesn't? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very easy listening. You know, he's got kind of a low voice. What would you call his voice? Is he a baritone or is he a tenor?
I think he's still a tenor.
Yeah,
but he definitely has moments where he doesn't live in a baritone range, right? I mean, he's a tenor,
but he kind of
he's got
ventures down there a little bit.
Yeah. He sneaks down there every once in a while.
He's got a real creamy vibrato, like
Mhm.
really, really, really great. But yeah, I mean, it's more like I could think that this is a record where I'm not really going to give any one of these songs 5 stars, but I'm probably going to give the record as a whole 5 stars because it's kind of like a whole vibe, you know, when you put it all together.
Yes.
Like this is really, none of the songs really stuck out as like some of them did more than others for sure, but there was no obvious winners for me. And it's more about just like Frank Sinatra's kind of a vibe.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with everything you say. And this is definitely a record that if you feel good because you've had a great day, not the one for you. Go ahead and just throw on Bad Girls. Or
Go ahead and throw on Bad Girls.
Yeah, throw on Bad Girls and fucking dance your dick off if you had a good day. If you are pouring yourself a scotch because that's how your day went, give old Blue Eyes a fucking roll then.
Yeah.
Because he'll be right up your power hour then. Most of the notes that I made on almost all these songs, though, have nothing to do with Frank Sinatra.
Really? But
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going to say lyrics for a second.
Nope. Absolutely not. And not that I didn't pay attention to them, but spoiler alert, they're sad and bad things have happened. So
mostly to him.
Yeah. So I mean, I wasn't necessarily paying attention to his voice because his voice is beautiful and it's buttery and it's all those things that you described. This record to me, though, is about the fucking band that this guy was singing in front of.
It's a killer band. I mean, the trumpet player, the muted trumpet player.
That fucking muted trumpet that continues to pop up like all throughout this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
This
so good.
This record to me is a masterclass in phrasing for any woodwind player because there's a ton of just spectacularly beautiful woodwind phrasing and brass players, like, and the orchestra, like the strings that they incorporated into this. And again, I want to say that this whole record was recorded in 4 different sessions, and at each session, like, they don't necessarily list like who was playing the clarinet and who was playing the trumpet or anything like that.
Right.
They literally just kind of have like a block that they took from the liner notes of all the musicians that were playing on the day, you know, on this date, because they recorded on, you know, October 18th, October 15th, October 21st or whatever. And so, I mean, I wish that I knew how they did it, you know, because in so many ways it feels like he's singing along while the band and a conductor are playing. And I can't fathom that was how it was recorded. Like, I got to imagine that it was recorded in pieces. But I would love to know how. Like, did you lay down the vocals first, or do you think it was all laid down at the same time?
I feel like in 1955, it might have been all laid down at the same time. It might have been live, dude.
That's fucking crazy. I would love to know the answer to that. If anybody, like, you know, we should, man, I feel like we should hire a production manager.
We should get someone to do those sorts of things for us. Yeah. They could be, that could be their title. We did have an applicant at one point.
We did have Mr. Shane Parker. That's right. That's something I would love to know that. I would love to know that, because if it was all recorded, you know, all live, and he's singing along like with cans from some from
some vocal booth or something.
Yeah, like while they're playing in another room. Fuck, that'd be crazy.
I just feel like, because like this band, there's no fucking way. I mean, they definitely had a conductor, not like a click track or something in this time. So
That was there's no way that you get that phrasing out of all those instruments with the elegance that you do without a conductor doing that. You can't.
yeah,
do that.
no, for sure, it's a conductor. That's kind of what my point is. Like, there's breath to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the exact same mechanical tempo the whole time.
Mm-mm.
It's kind of push and pull a little bit, and to just go back through and record that separately, I feel like it'd be
It's almost
harder.
impossible, right?
You know, I feel like
Yeah.
it's almost going to be easier and better final result to just do it live. I don't know.
I would tend to agree with you. I would also love to know how it was actually done. Bottom line, the best way to listen to this record is with headphones on, and again, Frank's voice is beautiful. If you want to be down a little bit, or if you just want to feel like, yeah, somebody else has felt this way before, like definitely listen to the lyrics, because
some of them are a little silly though. You know what I mean?
Some. I'm
like
trying to think.
There's tunes. There's lyrics about like, oh, I have to scratch my own back now and stuff like that. And but yeah, some of them are kind of depressing. Like, even if they do seem like silly, it's kind of like a thinly veiled silly line that actually is sad. You know,
Well,
like him talking about playing solitaire by himself.
Yes.
Obviously by himself because it's solitaire.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of how
that
works.
So glad, or what was it? Glad to be unhappy. Like fucking songs like that where you get kind of this weird up tempo shit, but then at the same time, like lyrically, it's, you know, he's fucking glad to be unhappy. Who the fuck's glad to be unhappy? You know,
Yeah.
so you get a little bit
He's
of that
lying to
weird
himself.
campiness.
He's trying to pretend like he's over the past relationship. I don't know if you read and got that figured out or not, Mike, but
I didn't pick up on that metaphor, but it seems to make sense now that you're telling me.
What was your favorite? What were some of your favorite tunes?
Mood Indigo was spectacular. What is this?
Oh, yeah.
What is this thing called? Love. The Cole Porter tune was fucking banging.
I loved that. Was that a sax or a clarinet playing the main line?
That was a clarinet.
I thought so, and I was trying to decide.
That was fucking special, dude.
Because I was like, I thought it was a clarinet, and then I thought it was a soprano saxophone.
You know what? I'm gonna punt on that. I'm gonna Heather Barkley, check that song out and tell us if that was a clarinet, because I didn't even think about it being like an alto sax. I suppose it could be.
I don't think it was an alto, but it might have been a soprano.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, a soprano. I don't think so though. I really think that was a clarinet. Inquiring minds want to know though. If anybody like digs into it. Dancing on the Ceiling. I loved the guitar on that.
Okay, so yeah, I made notes about Dancing on the Ceiling because that was the only song where I noticed the guitar.
I know, but it was fucking great. Right?
It was great. Was there even any on others? I don't even know if I could pick any out.
I think that there was, but I think that it was kind of that more classy, kind of like that jazz guitar type of thing where, you know, they say the best jazz guitar is the jazz guitar that you can't fucking hear.
Same for the bass. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I think that the guitar was always present, because in the personnel credits, it talks basically about a rhythm section that never changed. And then it was just kind of these ancillary musicians that they brought in on these different recording sessions.
I loved I'll Be Around. Great melody there.
Yep. I love that song too. I love Deep in a Dream.
I loved I Get Along Without You Very Well.
Can't We Be Friends?
Without You Very Well. I loved This Love of Mine, the last tune on there.
The orchestra in and I Can't Get Along With You, or I Get Along Without You Very Well, was really, really special.
Yeah.
Like really special.
The bass player was really, really good.
Excellent.
Like, especially one of the tunes I noticed it the most on was that last one, This Love of Mine. Like those, because they're so slow, you know, like that tune in particular, and a lot of the other ones. Some of those tunes are so slow, and there's so much space between the notes, and the bass is really the one that's like defining the tempo.
Yeah.
So to play those slow bass lines and get the accurate amount of space between those notes, that's the hardest thing, you know.
Yeah, because it's so much.
Yeah.
so much space that
You have to really feel that tempo.
Yeah. And that's, again, that kind of harkens back to what you were talking about how this really almost had to be recorded live.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
almost had to, unless you recorded all the music and then you gave it to him and he laid vocals over the top. I suppose I could see that's the only way that I could see it if they did it in two different pieces.
Yeah. Could be. I'm curious to know as well.
Yeah. Okay, what do you think about the move? What do you think about the move in terms of, it was at 100 and now we're at 282?
Well, I have to think, with it being that high before, that it's going to be the only Frank Sinatra on here.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's too low. But I don't think it needs to be 100 either. I think it could be 200, 180.
Are you putting it there just because it's the only Frank Sinatra, and you think Sinatra is that important, or or are you just saying, listen, empirically, like there's so much special shit happening on here that it's worthy of being higher than 200?
Well, especially if it's the only Sinatra. I mean, it's multifaceted, kind of both of those things.
That's
like
fair.
there's a lot to be said about it being one of the first LPs.
Yeah.
But also, it's Frank Sinatra. I mean, one of the most significant cultural figures of the last 100 years.
Cultural icon.
Yeah.
For sure. A cultural icon. Like a massive.
Like one of the biggest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And I would tend to agree with you. I don't think that even though like I love the nuance of like the whole history of the LP, which I don't think that you can sell that short, because I do think that's a big deal.
Yeah,
right?
it's huge.
That's a fundamental change to the way that music
if you're talking
be consumed.
If you're talking greatest records, the greatest implies impact. How can you argue this one literally started the wave of LPs?
Yeah. So
this
from
should
that
fucking be number one.
I mean, in a lot of ways, like I think you could make that argument, but I kind of like where you're thinking is at. I think to me around 200 is probably a more appropriate place, just because I feel like it should certainly be in the top half. And even if you stripped away the whole nuance on this album alone, it's a masterclass. And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about two different just masterclasses,
You're almost talking me into putting it higher than even the 180, 200.
I know. It's like, I think you could I really think you could make a compelling argument, because when I cold listened to it, I was like, wow, this is a fucking dark kind of bummer of an album. But then when I was listening to it to take notes, my note taking really morphed into something way more about the supporting musicians, only because what am I going to say on every song? Oh, his vocals are really good.
Yeah, his vibrato's really, really good.
Great vibrato. His range is spectacular.
Yeah.
His voice is so buttery. Buttery smooth.
That's kind of what I meant at the beginning. Was it was hard to like find specific things to write about.
Yeah, because none of these songs is like, holy fuck, this is a banger.
Yeah,
no, and that doesn't exist.
And none of them are like, oh man, he really sucks on this one.
Fucking Frankie phoned it in on this one. That son of a bitch. Yeah, no, doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Super special. I did not add this to my digital catalog because, again, I can't fathom where I would listen to it. If I found it on vinyl, I'd pick it up.
Right there with you. Exact same answer.
Rexy says that damned velvety smooth voice of Frankie. I love it. Put this on and have a quiet night with your loved one.
Well, despite the lyrical content.
Yeah. Come on, Rex. It should be put this one on and have a quiet night breaking up with your girlfriend.
Well, should we hit the last one?
Let's do it. Because it's got the best title of all time. All right, number 281 from 1971, Harry Nilsson's record, Nilsson Schmilsson.
Nilsson Schmilsson.
I love it. Rolling Stone says, a brilliant outlier on the 70s LA singer-songwriter. Jesus Christ. Let me start that over. A brilliant outlier in the 70s LA singer-songwriter scene, Harry Nilsson had a voice and pop savvy like Paul McCartney and a biting, ironic side like John Lennon. Nilsson Schmilson produced 3 hits: the oddball Island novelty Coconut, a cover of Bad Fingers Without You, where Nilsson sounds like a depressed Barry Manilow, and the surprise monster jam Jump Into the Fire. Nilsson was later covered by LCD Sound System. How the fuck did I not know that? It was par for the course for a guy who could shruggingly pull off anything he wanted. What did you think, dude?
They make him out to be really, really cool in that description.
Did you not think he was nearly this cool?
I did. No, I did. Actually, I dug this a lot for sure.
I was shocked at how much I loved it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Nilsson Schmilson.
Nilsson Schmilson.
Yeah. Lot of really fun tunes, like a really, really talented guy. Some serious experimentation going on vocally, like really pushing the boundaries of vocal recording technique.
Was he really?
Yeah. I mean, especially with like the delay and the layering that he was doing.
The layers were fucking thick.
Which for 71, dude. I mean,
yeah, you know what? I thought about this as like a 70s record, but you know, when I think of a 70s record, I mean, fuck, that could have been made
79.
Yeah, it could have been made in 76 or 77. Yeah, 71's early for that. I agree.
Yeah. But even, I mean, yeah, I had a hard time not putting a lot of stars on a lot of these tunes. Even from the very beginning, I like the very first one, They Gotta Get Up. Like fun piano, very Elton Johnny.
I would say, and I don't think this is stretching at all, out of all the records that we had this week was my Donna Summers for you. You know what I mean? Because you know how when you were talking about Donna Summers, you were just like, Jesus, I've just littered every song with all these stars.
Yeah.
I kind of did that with this one. I mean, I was still pretty judicious, but this was, honestly, this was the only, is that right? No, that can't be right. I'm trying to think. Is this the only record that I gave 5 songs to any star or 5 stars?
To any song?
Yeah, fuck. Actually, it is. Yeah, because I didn't do any for Donna, and I didn't do any for Frank Sinatra either.
Let me try to look and see if I.
And I gave 5 to Coconut because that song smashes, dude.
I gave 5 to that Journey to the Center of Your Heart for Donna.
For Donna, huh?
But then I think that might have been it for 5 stars for me this week, actually.
Yeah.
No, I gave one Harry Nilsson song 5 stars, but it wasn't Coconut.
Which one?
The last one. I'll Never Leave You.
I'll Never Leave You. I put 2 next to it.
I loved that one, dude. Like, just a really, really experimental instrumentation that was going on. Like at some point, it was like a harp, but they were just like plucking one string at a time. And I thought it was like a violin. They were just plucking the strings, but now I think it's a harp.
No, I actually think it's a violin. So I had that same wrestling match, but I decided personally on violin.
And they're plucking it, right?
Yes.
They're not like using a bow.
No, they're not using a bow at all, but it's definitely plucked, but I think it's a violin. And just because of the tone of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Because that was my immediate thought, but then I remember seeing harp on the instrumentation list. But I think there was also violin on there. So like
because if I'm trying to think about because I know that there was one on here that I made a note about the harp because I did the exact same thing. I saw harp on the instrumentation list. Fucking son of a bitch. Yeah. I don't even remember what I put it down on here though. Loved Gotta Get Up though. Put 4 stars next to that.
I got 3 on that one, but I loved it. It was like, it's kind of art rocky, but with like but with like a vaudevillian like theatricality to it.
To me, it was full blown Sgt. Pepper's. That's what it reminded me of. It reminded me a ton of like the type of sound that you get off of Sgt. Pepper's.
Kind of like the verse of Day in the Life a little bit.
A little bit. But you had those fucking horns on here. And man alive, I'm a sucker for horns. Yeah.
Oh yeah, trombone.
Yeah. Yep. Loved it. Driving Alone, I dug. That cover of Without You is just
That's an amazing song.
It's spectacular, dude. Like it's so fucking good. I put 3 stars next to it.
I put 4 on that. And the only reason I put 4 was because it's a cover
Yeah.
and not an original.
Otherwise, you would have given it 5.
I don't usually
right?
give 5 stars to covers.
Yeah. I don't disagree, but dude, his vocals on that are so good. It's raw as fuck, man.
That is like one of the greatest songs of all time. I was like, just objectively from what I've been reading. Like, do you know how many artists have covered that song?
Yes.
Over
A
180.
lot. I know, dude.
That's absurd.
But this particular version of that song is one that to me is instantly recognizable.
Yeah, it's one of the preeminent like versions.
Yeah.
Badfinger song originally.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, really good. And then Coconut, dude, fucking goddamn. Like, how ridiculous of a song is that?
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
It's a silly tune. Became kind of a classic.
Yeah. I mean, it's silly. I don't know. To me, like, fans of music like that song for the same reason that fans of cinema enjoy like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You know what I mean? They're just like, holy fuck, this is so weird and so fucking almost stupid. It's good.
Yeah.
You know?
The word that I read on Wikipedia that makes sense is they called it a novelty song. and that kind of sums up the gist of it.
Absolutely. Because it feels like a song that you would pull out of a box of Cheerios.
Yeah.
Excitedly though.
You'd
because
be stoked.
When you got it, you'd be like, "Oh man, I'm so fucking glad I dug through all that."
I've been looking for this coconuts. Yeah. Early in the Morning, which was the 3rd song, it's like a bluesy 12-bar blues kind of song.
Yeah,
dude. That's all him. Do you know that? Like, because it's all organ the whole time. And I thought there was some percussion going on, but I realized it's not. It's the sound of him clicking the keys. That's all. Like, but it lines up perfectly because he's like must be mashing on these fucking keys. But if you listen back, it lines up exactly with his bass line. So I'm pretty sure that's all it is. Like, I think it's only
just him
organ
mashing the bass line.
Yeah, I think so.
Fucking wow.
Yeah. So Coconut, the Jump Into the Fire. That was a crazy song.
Yeah. I mean, did you like it?
I mean, it was like a jam. Whether it was like super successful or not, and what, in my opinion, I don't know. But there was some weird stuff going on. Like the bass player literally detunes his instrument at one point in that. I was trying to figure out what was going on. So I was digging into it a little bit, and yeah, the bass player is literally just like it goes back up. Yeah.
I didn't put any stars next to it.
I put 3 on it actually.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I liked a lot of these ones. That was that was genre than the rest of his. That was considered thinking like, wow, how hard rock has changed throughout the years, because that would certainly not be called hard rock today.
Definitely not today, but I understand why they put that descriptor on there, because it was almost wildly out of place on this record.
Yeah, it was way different.
Yeah. And not necessarily in a way that I
that you enjoyed.
Yeah, that I really, really loved. That was the only song on this record that I didn't put a star next to. And a lot of 1 stars. You know, like I love Down, bluesy stomper with horns. Like I'm in. Enjoyed Early in the Morning, which we just talked about. Let the Good Times Roll. That was like a super faithful cover. And it's so weird to hear like that type of like sock hoppy type 50s Buddy Holly rock after you get a song like you
like
put the lime in the coconut and the combo down.
Doctor.
What do you think about, well, did you add this to your digital?
No. But I would totally do vinyl. And yes. I will.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. I'd buy a reissue of this. Don't even give a shit. I mean, if I found a vintage copy of it, even better, but I would totally buy the reissue, because this would be really fun just to throw on, you know, kind of like Donna.
And introduce people to, because most people, I'll tell you, have not heard of Harry Nilsson. I don't think so.
Or a song like Without You would come on and they'd be like, oh my God, I know this song.
Or Coconut.
Or Coconut. And they'd be like, oh, this song's so much fun. Who is this again? That's how every conversation would go if you were playing this record.
And there's so many versions of that song, but this is the OG.
The OG.
So had you heard of this guy before at all?
No.
You were not a fan, or not that you weren't a fan, but you were not aware of Nilsson Schmilsson. Yeah.
No clue. Like I said, that's Without You. Dude, as soon as that song came out, I was like, oh, fuck, I know this song. I love this song.
Yeah.
I had no fucking clue it was Harry Nilsson.
Me neither, which is weird. Like they said, brilliant outlier.
Yeah, definitely an outlier. I like the placement of it too. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an important record, undoubtedly. I'm cool with it.
Maybe it's a little high. Maybe it needs to drop by 50. Be at 3 1/4, 330.
With Coconut, dude?
I know. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
The eclectic nature of this album and how well he pulls off all of the different genres that get mashed up in here is what you convinced me.
I said like 3 words.
I know.
I like it. Yeah, it didn't take much.
But it's real though. You know what I mean? Like this one's out there. And it's out there in a way that it's good that it's on this list. It's good that it's this high on this list because people need to
be exposed to Harry Nilsson.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm glad I was.
In that rakish robe that he's wearing on the cover art of the album.
Yeah. I've been staring at that for like 10 minutes. I think he seems like a cool guy. I wonder if he's still around.
You think so? No.
Probably dead.
Yeah, probably dead.
Poor
Harry Nilsson.
Poor Harry Nilsson.
He's definitely not dead now that we're talking about him so disparagingly.
He's listening to the podcast right now. He's like, oh my God, somebody's talking about me.
He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's dead. Poor Harry Nilsson.
When did he die?
He died today. No, I'm just kidding. he died in 1994.
Oh, he must have been relatively young when he died.
Yeah, he was 52.
Oh.
Says that he was a tenor with a 3.5 octave range, which is impressive.
Crazy.
So, okay, check this out. He was one of the few major pop rock recording artists to achieve significant commercial success without ever performing major public concerts or undertaking regular tours. So this guy did not play shows.
He was like, fuck.
He's like, I'm going to record, and that's all I'm going to fucking do.
Studio cowboy.
So the craft of his songs and the defiant attitude he projected remain touchstones for later generations of indie rock musicians. I can see that.
I could see that too, right? Especially with how just all over the place this record is. And I like it.
Cool.
Rex says, okay, love it so far. I hear elements of Sgt. Pepper's on this album. I'm surprised how much I love this album. It's fun, perfectly produced, perfect spot for this album.
Yeah, we're all on the same page with Harry Nilsson.
Yeah, we are. And if you're not down with Harry, fucking get there. Because it's worth it.
Reminds me of Talladega Nights when Ricky Bobby's like, if you don't chew Big Red, then fuck you. That's how we feel about Harry Nilsson.
If you don't like Harry Nilsson, well, I guess just go fuck yourself right now. All right.
Cool. Well, let's preview next week.
Yeah.
And talk about when that'll be. Probably Monday or Tuesday, we're thinking, guys, just so you know. Don't look for a Friday show.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Friday's show is definitely not going to happen because JB is doing a concert that you should go to if you're not going to fly to Phoenix and go see Fish.
Which is what Mike will be doing.
Which is what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah. So next week, 280, we have 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying.
Boom! 279, Nirvana, MTV Unplugged in New York.
That's crazy. That's our first Nirvana record.
Yeah.
And it's live. That's a fantastic one.
I love it. I can't wait to revisit that.
Yeah. 278, Led Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy.
Fire, son. Fire.
That's our first Zeppelin, yeah?
First Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And it almost makes me sad because it's one of my favorite Zeppelins. Oh.
We're going to get a lot of Zeppelin, though.
I know.
We're going to get all mean, maybe not every single one. Maybe not In Through the Outdoor.
Dude, we're not going to get In Through the Outdoor. We're not going to get Coda. We're not going to get Presence.
But you're going to get 1 through 4.
Yeah.
No doubt, dude.
You're
You're
definitely
gonna
getting 1 through 4, and you're getting Physical Graffiti.
You think Physical Graffiti, but no In Through the Outdoor?
Yes.
I'm not going to make a bet on that.
I don't want to make
too deep.
Yeah, I don't want to make a bet on that either.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't even say that with very much conviction. 277, Alicia Keys, The Diary of Alicia Keys.
And then finally 276, Radiohead, our second Radiohead entry, The Bends.
It's a gem. And JB does not have all that much exposure to it.
Yeah, almost none. So that'll
Should
be
be
fun.
good. Yeah. So once again, we'll probably be back in a week.
Probably Monday. We were thinking.
Yeah,
right?
probably Monday, I think, is when we're going to be recording it. But if something comes up, we might have to do it Tuesday. Most likely, though, Monday.
So we'll see you guys then. Bye. Enjoy your week. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.